What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and today is the third day of this crunch time meeting thing that's going on between the owners and players in Jupiter, Florida. They are meeting every single day to try and get a deal done before the February 28th deadline that would unfortunately delay opening day and regular season games. Now, the first couple of days have been fairly good. I wouldn't say great or even really good. They've been pretty neutral. Both sides haven't really budged on anything, but they have been meeting for over 3 hours each day, which is significant progress opposed to that 15-minute meeting they had before. So I think that's a good sign. I'm not sure. If there isn't significant progress towards a deal, Wednesday today and Thursday tomorrow, we can probably assume that there will be no deal made before this deadline. If there is significant progress on both or either of these days, there is a good chance that one gets signed. So really, it's today and tomorrow that we find out if there will be opening day. I'm staying hopeful. I think that something gets done. I'm super stressed out, but I'm super hopeful about it. For today's video, though, we are going over a question that was posed to me in the comment section of a video a couple of weeks ago. And that question was, what happens if the Red Sox can't sign either Seiya Suzuki or Kyle Schwarber? What does the Red Sox outfield in 2022 look like? I think most of us, including myself, as part of Red Sox Nation, just assumed that we would have either Seiya Suzuki or Kyle Schwarber going into 2022. Some people even thought we'd have both. Now, there is a good possibility, though, that come opening day, hopefully March 31st, Seiya Suzuki is on the Giants, say, and Kyle Schwarber's on the Mets, and the Red Sox don't have either. So I went ahead and I made 3 possible scenarios that I think the Red Sox could do to fill that hole in losing Schwarber and Suzuki. 2 of them are pretty realistic, and the third one's pretty outlandish and most likely won't happen. But if it does happen and it works out well, it could be huge for the Red Sox. But before I get into those, do me a favor, if you have not already, hit that subscribe button for me. We are on the road to 500 subscribers. I'm figuring out what to do once we hit 500, so I will keep you updated. But for now, make sure you guys have hit that button. Also, make sure that you guys have hit that like button as well. That helps out the video a ton. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. All right, so scenario 1. It's opening day. There's no Schwarber or Suzuki on the Red Sox in 2022. What does the outfield look like? The most realistic option is Alex Verdugo in left field, Jarren Duran or Jackie Bradley Jr., most likely Jackie Bradley to start and then eventually Jarren Duran to take over, and Kike in right field. Now, the reason I have those guys in those positions is because Kike is more athletic, no offense to Alex Verdugo, and Alex Verdugo does a pretty decent job in the outfield, so left field, in my opinion, suits him more, and right field makes sense to have Kike Hernandez, who's just flat out more athletic, and with right field the way it is at Fenway Park, that makes sense. Now, the other reason I think this is the most realistic is because all of these guys have experience with the outfield at Fenway Park. It wouldn't make a ton of sense to go out and get a guy who's not a great fielder but a decent hitter and who has no experience at Fenway Park and try and plug him in when you've got the guys that have the capability of doing it. Now, the downside to this is that there is no fearsome power bat in the lineup anymore from the outfield. Verdugo's not bad. Kike has his moments, but Kyle Schwarber and Seiya Suzuki were known for their power, and you lose that going into 2022 if you don't get either of these guys. Now, in my opinion, the best way to combat this is to have a bunch of powerful bench bats. Most likely Roberto, who we signed from Korea, and Tristan Casas. Those guys will be on the bench ready to go if they are needed in one of these spots. So in my opinion, this is the most realistic scenario to happen in 2022. Let's take a look at some of the other scenarios that I think could happen. Moving on to the second scenario here. The second scenario is the second most realistic in my eyes, and that's going to be Alex Verdugo staying in left field. But now Kike's in center, and Duran is full-time in right. And the reason I'm choosing Duran over Jackie Bradley is because I think Duran's bat ends up being better long-term for the Red Sox than Jackie Bradley's. I think Duran had a really tough time adjusting to Major League pitching last year, and coming up this year, I think he's got a bit more confidence, a bit more experience under his belt, and he'll be able to do better at the plate. He's also a super quick athlete, and I think that's really important going into 2022 because we didn't really have a ton of fast guys on the Red Sox. And obviously you don't need a super quick team to do really well, but it does really help in certain situations. I mean, last year our steals leader was Christian Vasquez. We need some speed on this team, and Jarren Duran is very quick. He's very good at fielding, and I think he'd fit in right field. Obviously, we know Kike can play center, and I already went over why I think Verdugo would do well in left. The only thing that this isn't fixing is the power bat. I think, again, it's just a power bench bat situation. We already went over who that's going to be, so same guys, but now you add Jackie Bradley to that. Moving on to our final scenario here, and this is the one that I think is the most fun. It's also the most unrealistic, but if it works out for the Red Sox, it would be spectacular. The final scenario, scenario 3, is Kike Hernandez moves over to second base. Kike's on the infield. We've got a hole in left field because I've got Verdugo in right and I've got Duran again full-time in center. Now bear with me here. We called Tristan Casas up to start the season with the Red Sox, and Bobby Dahlbeck goes to left field. I know Bobby Dahlbeck wasn't exactly the greatest first baseman in the world, but this dude's a pretty decent athlete. He's got decent speed for a first baseman. In fact, he's got good speed for a first baseman. Maybe he works out in left field. It doesn't exactly take a super freak athlete to play the outfield well and left field well at Fenway Park. I think if he can learn the angles of the Green Monster, he could do pretty well out there. I'm not saying he's going to be a superstar or anything, but who knows? Maybe it works out. Again, this is super unrealistic, but it also gets rid of the losing the power bat problem. You add Tristan Casas into a lineup who is a devastatingly hard-hitting left-handed batter who will probably hit pretty well in the majors. So you've got the two power bats now between Bobby and Tristan. You've got Duran, who's super fast and in my opinion will hit pretty well for contact. And obviously you got Verdugo in right, who I personally said in another video that I think Verdugo would do a good job in right field. I know some people disagree, but I think he would. This is a ridiculous scenario, but it's a fun one to think about. Let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think of these scenarios? Is there a scenario I'm missing where you think, Corbin, duh, this is exactly what they're going to do? Let me know all your thoughts down below. Also, guys, take a look at my last video if you have not already. I'm putting together a Red Seat Nation all-time favorite Red Sox players on there. So comment on that video who you think your favorite players are of all time. As always, guys, if you've made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you've hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure you guys have hit that like button as well. I said it at the beginning of the video, but we are on our way to 500 subscribers. So let's get there before the season starts. Thank you all very much for clicking on this video, and I will see you in the next one.